All right. Like Matthew McConaughey would say, let's take a view around this course, take a look at what is going on with it, how to do some assignments, how it's organized. So I am not even in the right place. Excuse me so much for that. Here we are. This is the page that pops up immediately, and this page will go away after about the first week. The reason why is I am the kind of guy that I like less clicks to get to what I need to do. And this is just one extra click to get to the modules where your work is. EAC does like to see these pages, and I think it's a good intro page when you're first starting out. But once you have the thing down, right, then every single time you're just going to course module and then over. Now, I will say that when you log into Canvas, you actually are given a page that has, oh, these are all the assignments that are due this week. I try to tell students you should not do that for any class. It is easy to do, but there's often things within the course that are supposed to help you. And the only things that are showing up on that page are things that have dates. And so there is a problem with that. So anyway, you're going to spend all your time in course modules. That's what we're going to look at right now. We'll look at the syllabi and that kind of stuff in a minute. So you will notice everything is broken down into modules. That's the title that we are giving it. In other words, these are the areas within this particular class that we will be looking at and studying. And this information actually will have two courses in it. So yours may not look exactly like this. This is actually the CIS191, and you may be in CMP 113. It depends on your degree. Now, those two courses are pretty much identical, except for a section that's been added at the end that's all about security. And so in 191, you need to look at that, where in 113, that's not necessarily what we're dealing with. I will point out that down here on the bottom, this 11 here, securing and maintaining operating systems, that's a part of everybody's shell. This is the one that's added for those that are in security. And we go into endpoint security, and there's a study guide and so on, and then endpoint application deployment security, mobile, embedded, specialized device security, and then enterprise security. And so that particular module ends up being the last couple of weeks within CIS 191, where in CMP 113, it's not there. I may actually include it. I don't know yet, but not as assignments, just like here's the info kind of thing. Okay, so we're breaking this down into modules. Each one has a particular thing that we're looking at within that module. And so let's just use one as an example. Let's just dig into modern client server operating systems, which is week 3 and 4. Let's just take a look at what's in there. Now, I will have different demos, different little things that I'm showing you within each of the modules. They're basically videos that cover information for that particular unit, and also gets into how to do certain things within the operating system that the book is not covering enough or not covering at all. And so those are important to look at. I try to keep them pretty short. I think the longest ones are about 30 minutes, but most of them are short as I try to show you this in Linux, this in Windows, this in Mac OS, that kind of thing. So you have a reading section. This is going to take you to the text. It's going to take you to the book where you can actually just read the chapter. Then you have your activities, and this will take you to a general page. You notice there's no points on this, and it shows that it's a link, and it'll take you to a general page. Then you have the hands-on project 2.2-1 working at a command prompt, which is scary to a lot of people. And then below it, you have where you turn that in. So this is where you would turn that in. Now, what am I talking about? Turn what in? Well, let's go over and take a look at that particular assignment. And I actually need to go into student view. And I clicked on the wrong thing, as you would expect. Clicked on the wrong thing. So back over here again. What you would do is follow the link. So let's look at exploring file systems in Windows. It's got a button that you push on. Once you click on it, that's just the way Canvas works. So you still got to click a couple of times to get to where you want. And I haven't logged in on this computer, so let me pause this for a second. All right, so here it is. It's loading. You did see a little flash there of stuff behind that screen. And well, if you didn't take a 103 class yet, then you're probably not familiar with this interface. This is the Mind Tap interface from Cengage, and you do not need to stay in this interface. Now, it's perfectly fine. Let me move my picture here if I can. Move that over here. It's perfectly fine to browse this, do what you want. However, if you're looking at, I want my points to actually show up and over there in Canvas, then what you would need to do is pull up an assignment like this. And then when you're done with it, go back to Canvas and then pull up the next assignment. So anything that, let me just show you real quick. This is what you don't want to do. Okay, I'm done with that. Let's see. What do I need to do next? Let's see. We're in file systems. Okay, here's some activities, right? You don't want to use this interface because when you do this outside of Canvas, it's not going to transfer your score over to Canvas. It will stay in here. Now, for me, as a user of computers and somebody who teaches computers, I don't want to have students learn two interfaces in order to get through a course. And so I didn't set any of this up. I didn't go in here and say, this is what you're going to flow through, because that was done in Canvas. So what you'd want to do, again, is go back to modules when you were done with that, turn in that assignment, and then go down to the next one, right? Let's just look at this one, for instance, and let that load. So when you're done with whatever that assignment is, then, go back. Now, what are we actually doing in these assignments? Notice this is browsing the Windows registry, and it's got a description of what you're going to do. And then it's got certain steps as we go down through it. So for instance, in this step, it says in the left pane, which we don't even have up, click to expand this information. And so you're going to expand that way, way down when that's done. And you can actually see, like, what are they talking about? Oh, that's what they're talking about. So this is what I'm going to see. Now, once you have done that, right, once you have finished that step, then you would take a screenshot of you having done that. So let's say, for instance, I'll just load it here. This is talking about regedit. So I'm going to load that up. It tells you there's a danger in dealing with this. And I've got a video on it. So let's say it wanted me to go to this particular place. At this point, I'm going to take a screenshot and I'm going to put it into a Word document, which you all have access to because your Monster Mail is now through Outlook, and you can log into that and go straight to Word and pull it up in a browser, or you can download the app and install it. But what you would be doing is you would say, okay, well, I did that step. Now, how do I prove to McBride that I did that? Well, you're going to pull up snipping tool, or snip and sketch. If you've got Windows 11, it's called snipping tool. And if you've got Windows 10, you have snipping tool and snip and sketch. You have the same thing in a different interface. So I want to prove that to the teacher that I did this. So I say new, and I draw a square around this. This is the part I really need to prove. So I'm going to take a picture of that. Now I'm going to copy that. That's this button here. And I'm going to put it in Word. I happen to have Word installed, so I'm just going to launch it. But I could do it right in a browser. Pull up a new blank document and paste it. Now, it doesn't have to be this big, but I do need to be able to read it. So I will have students miss points, honestly, because they do this. There you go, McBride. I'm going to put all the assignments on one single page. 0 points. Right? I can't really read that. I don't know if that's all correct as to where you wanted to go or where you should have gone. So yeah, you can shrink it down, but make sure it's big enough to actually read. And you would just now go, okay, and now I'm ready for the next one. Now I'll do the next step and I'll put it in. You also want to put which step you did. So this is number 4. And if I'm going to go to 5, then I can put number 5 and insert the next photo. So let's just pretend for a minute. So we come over here. and we say, okay, 5 says we're going to go someplace else. We're going to go into control panel. So again, I am not going through the option of actually doing the assignment. I'll just pretend I'm going to come up here, and this was in classes, users, because that's what I showed a bunch of people. So let's say it wanted us to go here. And so now I went there, sweet. So let me go ahead and take another snapshot, go over to snipping tool, hit new. This is the settings for rectangles or the whole window. Please snip the portion you need, because when you're snipping a whole window, that's got to be a really huge image for me to actually see it. So please draw a square around what you need. Right, there's that. So I grab that screen, and again, I'm going to hit copy over here. You could actually save it. Go back over to Word. I'm on number 5, Control V, and I pasted it. And I'm like, that's way too big. So I'll just shrink it a little bit, and then on to the next one. That's what you're doing. You are building a Word document, and you're putting down the step you were on with the pictures. Now, the reason why this is so awesome is that it's showing what you are actually doing, I'm not asking you, okay, go and actually do this and then write a paragraph information about what you did and why that was important and where you're actually at in the system. No, I want you to go to what it's saying to do, and then you take an actual picture of where you went and what you did. So when you look at this, step 1, sign into Windows 10 with administrator account if necessary. So let's just say you're on your Windows 10 computer and you have it set so it just automatically logs in. I really don't need this screenshot. Then it says click in the type here search and type regedit and press enter. You can put 1 and 2 in that one photo. So for instance, this would be an answer to, look at that, I actually have that product open. And so what I would do if this was the actual first thing in the assignment is let me click out of there because I don't want to delete it. Instead of being on step 4, I would say this is 1 and 2, right? It shows you that I logged into the computer because there it is. If I hadn't been able to log in, I wouldn't have gotten to this point. And 2, you wanted me to open registry editor, and look at that, there I did it, right? So what you need to think of as you go through the assignment, because I'll get tons of questions about, oh, do you want to see this? Do you want to see that? And to me, it's coming from a place of fear that the student is afraid they're not going to do it right and not get the points that they need. I will always comment on your assignments if you need to improve something. So for instance, if you turned everything in and everything's too small for me to actually see, then I will say that. I will have a comment on that assignment and say, you need to make this bigger. And so if you look at your score and you're like, oh gosh, that's lower than what I wanted, there's a comment there telling you why. And so you really need to use your brain. You need to look at this and say, okay, this will prove that I logged in. So that's 1 and 2 done. And then right here, you'll see this interface. Oh, look at that. That's 1, 2, and 3 done, because if I take a picture that I've got it loaded, that's what it's going to show me, is what it's telling you right here. So 1 through 3, I got that finished. Now this one's something particular that your first photo did not prove. And then, oh, we went and changed something. First photo did not prove, right? So you're taking pictures along the way that are going to prove each step that needs to be proven. Now, there's another thing you need to know about this. So if you've seen this in another video, that's just fine if you don't watch this. But right here, you've got a delayed snip. Now, what that's for is you'll notice that right here, I can pop up this menu. But as soon as I come over and say, I want to snip this, so let me do, oh, it went away, right? It's going to go away. So what you want to do is say, no, I need no delay here. I need 3 seconds. And so let me go ahead and say new. Now I've got 3 seconds. I hit this button. Now I'm in the mode to actually take a screenshot, right? So you can grab things that are not going to otherwise let you grab. And there it is, that little screenshot. So this becomes something that you're going to use. Very easy for me to grade these. because I know what steps you're supposed to be going through. So let's go back to Canvas and take a look at, okay, well, now you have that built, right? Now you have the file for this particular assignment built. And that's why I've got these little turn-ins, right? Turn in, turn in, turn in, because you go through all those steps and then you have to give me that file that you built, that Word file. But let me show you a couple of things about turning it in. PDF. I don't want a Word document. Now, why don't I want a Word document? Well, Word documents are bloated. Word documents want to load up Word. So every single time I try to grade an assignment and it's not a PDF, making it a Word document adds minutes. And when you're grading hundreds of assignments, that's a lot of time. So I force you to upload a PDF. It's not going to allow you to upload a doc file. And again, some people, right, you came out of high school and you're like, I don't know Word and I don't want to use it. And so you refrain from using Word altogether and you do it in Google Docs. Well, you need to take that document that's in Google Docs or whatever you used and actually convert that to a PDF. That is often done either under export, and I should just let you guys find it because that's part of being in computers. That's under export or it's under print. It will always be under print. I will tell you that because that's the old school way of doing it. So if you want, just go to print. In Word, right? In Word, you can actually go to Save As and choose the PDF file format. I'll show you that in a minute. But you will have print to PDF among all the other options you have. And now when you hit print, it's actually not printing anywhere. It's going to say, what do you want to save this file as? Name it, put it someplace, right? That's what it's going to do. So print, actually, when you say print as a PDF, actually says, where do you want to save it? In Word, I can go to Save As, and then I have to select someplace, and I'll just say Disk Utilities because I don't really care. And then up here, you can drop that down, and these are all the things that Word will save as and select PDF. So you want to be able to do that. And they're trying to give me some advice there. And then you hit save. And I would suggest that you name it something good. So you name it like, this is me. Actually, this is, we'll just say this is module 2, the assignment 2, if that's what it was. And then I'll say it's James Bride. And then something for you, right? This helps you find module 2, your name, you know who you are, but it helps me when I'm actually grading it. And then you say, oh, this is for CIS191. Because you should keep all the assignments that you do in college. That you will not be disappointed if you do that. Secondly, I have people that don't. They actually just make a temp file. They don't care about where it's put. And then they think they uploaded it. And they go, look at that, it's right there. I had one student, and this was years ago, and it did that for every single thing. And I kept putting these comments when he was turning it in. There's no file here. There's no file here. There's no file here. Did that for like 6 assignments. And then finally realized that I was commenting on it. He was taking this remote. And then he's like, oh, well, these files aren't there. And I'm like, no, go in there and try to open your file. And there's nothing in the file, right? So whatever's happening on his computer, he thinks he's saving all these steps, and there's nothing in the PDF at all. There's just nothing there. He's like, I don't have those anymore. And I'm like, well, I can't give you a grade for him, right? I cannot give you a grade for something that I can't see. I can't just take a student's word for it. That is not part of the program. That's something I would get in trouble for. Well, they said they did it, so I gave them an A. That's not the way it works. So always save your assignments, because you just never know when something didn't upload right, or you thought you uploaded and you didn't, and then you go back and it's a 0, and you go, oh, heck, what am I going to do? And that's okay. You've got your assignment right there. You can email me and say, hey, McBride, I don't know how this happened, but here's my actual assignment, right? And everything will be okay. So the point is, save your documents someplace on your computer, on OneDrive, on Google Drive, whatever you're going to do. Turn in the PDFs of them. So print a PDF, save as a PDF, export as a PDF. Those are the things you want to look under so you can do that. Make sure you number what steps this is actually being applied to. You know, is this 1 and 2, 3 and 4, you know, make sure it's numbered. And then one last thing. Some of these assignments, they actually ask you to write something. Now, I don't know if I can find any in this, because a lot of them are step through this, step through this, step through this, and that's what you do in it. This is only 10 minutes. But some will say, okay, now what do you see, or what do you think you should do? Or if it's something that you can actually just answer, then just answer it. And so again, you take a picture when that fits. I had to do this step. I need to prove I did that step. And then other things that'll say, you know, what does a daemon do or a daemon do on Linux? Well, I could show a picture of that, but that doesn't really explain it. Let me go ahead and type it out, right? Answer it. That's really all there is to actually doing these assignments, is that you will click the link, go over, read the information, follow through the steps. I like to put, you know, a screen over here and a screen over there. And then you're going to turn it in as a PDF. And that is doing those assignments. Now, to get this all in one video here, let's take a look at the other things that you're doing. So that's all the hands-on. And you know what? Sometimes there's a bunch of hands-ons, and sometimes there's not. Seriously, there's let's see, file system, it has a number, and the one I have open has a number on it, but I think installing really does not have. Yeah, see, there's no assignment on actually installing that. They don't have you run through it, they just talk about it. Something you'll find in every single module is a review quiz and then a test. And these are to help you study. So under review, you have PowerPoints, and that's the PowerPoints for the chapter, and then flashcards that have concepts that show you. And I'll just go ahead and show you one of those so you can see it. It's a good way to study. I like it about Cengage. And you can make your own flashcards in Cengage, which is cool, but you don't have to. These are basically all the concepts from the chapter put in flashcard mode. File. What is a file? And you're like, ooh, you know what? I don't know. You click on it. Oh, that's a set of data that is grouped in some logical manner, assigned a name, and stored on a disk. That's a good definition, right? You can flip that back and forth. Next card, root. The highest level folder structure and files and folders in a file system. It's also the login for an admin on Linux. But in any case, right, you can use those to help you study. And that's what they're there for. There's no points. You don't get any points for doing those. It's just there to study. Again, the ones that have points will have due dates. Right now, you see there's no due dates because this class isn't active yet. But these are just the links, and then this is the points where you get the points for the assignment. And then this review test. So there's 20 points, and the review test is like a study guide. It's like going through it. And I would suggest you just go through it, and you go through it. I do think it's silly to actually come down to one of these when you haven't done the flashcards, when you haven't looked in the chapter, you haven't done any of that. Then your review quiz is going to take you quite a while because you don't know anything because you didn't look at the chapter. And that's really what you should view this as. This is kind of the you will look at the chapter. And so the review quiz actually lets you take it. I think, let's actually see, it should show us here. It doesn't. So I'll pull up the edit so you can see what it says. So, okay, percentage, it's in tests, and yeah, unlimited. So you can just keep taking it and taking it and taking it. And away you go, right? You just keep running through it and running through it. If it was me, I would actually do this first. I would actually come down to the review quiz, and then I would open up the chapter on one side, and when it says what is this, I would actually look in the chapter and go, what is that? Basically using it as a study guide, something to help you study. But you can do that however you want. I'm not saying that you have to, do it that way. All you need to know is that you do get points for doing the review, and you can get the max points possible. You can just do them as much as possible to know what you're doing, and then you take the test. And here's the thing, one time on the test, and it's timed. right? How can I make sure that you're not going to just sit there and look up all the questions if I just make it untimed? So that's going to be timed so that you only have a certain amount of time to go through that. If there's 20 questions, then you're going to get less than 20 minutes in order to complete it, because a minute per question is a long time. As a matter of fact, 30 seconds per question is a little bit long. You go, what? If you've ever watched yourself on a test, actually, the ones you get within the first 15 seconds, the ones you don't know, you stare at for about 45 seconds and then finally guess. So if you have access to the review quiz, there should be no problem getting 100 on this and being prepped and ready to go. And that's really what's in every single module. And some modules will last longer. So weeks 3 and 4, as you see. So longer modules that have more labs are going to last a couple of weeks instead of just one. And modules that don't have that much in it, that's file systems is not a good one, but this one, installing operating systems, that's only 1 week, right? So the modules are divided up according to about how much time they're going to take for you to do. And that's really what you're doing. Do anything that's got points, right? That's really what we're talking about. Make sure that anything you see with points, you're doing. And the only other thing is the points, right? This is 4 points, but this is 20 points. And what people will erroneously think is, sweet, this is worth more points. It's in the weighting of things, it's not. I can actually, as the teacher, say tests are 50% of the grade and all the hands-on labs are 50% of the grade. And no matter how many of the values of the points line up, that's the way it's going to calculate it. So I don't want anybody misreading it and going, well, geez, I'll do the test because all of these modules actually equal this much. So this one's more important. Don't look at it that way. I do. And on your home, I think it's on home, someplace in here. I should look on student view, but I will go to assignments because I can show you there real quick. I can add weights, right? So tests are going to be 30%, and I am going to give you 70% for the hands-on, and the other ones are actually not scored because they shouldn't even be there. But anyway, 30% for tests and hands-on 70%. And you see the security tests, I haven't moved those. So I haven't moved them yet. So those would be up under tests. Again, 2 different courses. And so once I copy the course, then I have to move the information. Anyway, that is how you get through the course. You just are simply going to be dealing with the modules. And again, home after the first week will actually take you straight to modules right here. That's the most important part. Now, to give you a little more information on where's the syllabus and, all that stuff, and where do I see grades and how do I see grades and all that. So a lot of this will actually be gone. You won't see outcomes and rubrics and all that different stuff. I usually remove that because the students don't need to see it and it just makes things confusing. But you will always have grades here on the side, and that is where you're going to see your grades. And your grades actually will, not be shown this way. It'll be shown, let me go back, just in a column. So let me go to student view and let me go ahead and hit grades here, or, grades here. But again, this page won't be there after the first week. And this shows your grades. And so it shows everything, but note right up here, it gives you some definitions. And oh yeah, there it is. There's the weights. I knew that was hanging out in there. Grades is where it should be, of course. Anyway, notice this button, calculate based only on graded assignments. You really need to be careful with this. To me, it's just straightforward, but I wish this was always off. When you hit calculate based on only assignments, you have to be aware of what that means. I have students, I'm not joking, and yeah, I'm chuckling a little bit, and you'll understand why. They'll do like 4 assignments, and they'll come into their grades and go, sweet, I got 100. Notice this says, NA, but it'll say 100 because on the 4 assignments they did, they got 100s. They haven't done anything else. Like there's 30 assignments in the entire class, but they've only done 4. And they come in here and they're like, sweet, I got 100. I don't need to do anything else. never reading, calculate based only on graded assignments. This tells you how well you're doing on your assignments. This unchecked tells you how well you're doing in the class. It also is like a gauge to how far you are in the class. So if you did 100, 100, 100, 100, and you were at the beginning of the course, right? And you take this check mark off, it's going to say F. Well, why? Well, you haven't finished all the rest of them. And, you know, it shows a lot here. These are all pretty small assignments, but you haven't done any of the rest of them. So if you stop, you got an F. And that's why I like to have this turned off. And I wish people would look at it that way, because that's the reality of a course. You always get the fuzzy teachers, the ones who are like, everybody's got 100, guys. Everybody's got 100. It's yours to lose. It's not reality, though, is it? You don't have 100. You haven't done anything in the class yet. That means that you have a 0. And some say, oh, well, that's pessimistic. I'm just like, well, it's just reality. And I like to look at things as reality and realize that if I don't do anything in this course, I have failed the course. If I do 25% of the course, I have failed the course. If I've done 60% of the course, I still have a D in the course, right? You can't just leave out assignments and not do them. And I think this has become a big issue because in wherever they went to high school, it's been okay. Maybe they had a teacher that allowed them to do 2 big assignments that made up for 50% of their grade. And that's not the way college works. This is not something I ever would have said to a student about 15 years ago, but now I do. Everybody would know, hey, you don't do your work, you don't get a grade. But instead, they come in thinking, well, I got 4 assignments done. It says I have 100, so I don't need to do anything. Or they go through and say, oh, I haven't done anything for 50% of this course. I wonder if there's still a way to pull an A. I like to work with students. Yeah, you've only done 50% of the course and you've got 3 weeks left. Finish the other 50%, but I'll let you do it, right? Some teachers won't. They're like, you missed your chance, right? Me, I'm usually like, hey, you can do it. You're going to have to spend just as much time as you would have, and you're going to have to kind of lose your entire life while you try to finish all that work, but I'll let you try to do it. Right. So please realize that when you take this check mark off, that's showing you where you really are in the class. And if we're 50% through the course, this should say 50%. If we're halfway through this, you should have a 50. And then you can look and say, how well am I doing on my assignments? And look at that. So that's grades. That's where that is. And then I'm going to just show you that you go to the syllabus. And the syllabus is really just going to have some general information about when I'm around and what EAC's rules are. I'll click on it. It's a PDF. It'll show up. Just load it on your screen so you can see it. But this syllabus, that's the PDF, does not have every single assignment listed in it. I actually see, this is a syllabus. It's got the dates that we start and all that kind of stuff. It's got some contact information, but all the assignments then are listed under the course summary. Because a lot of people have taken classes where the syllabus lists all the assignments. Hey, guess what? This is electronics. We've got computers that can do fancy stuff for us. So what you should do is realize, okay, these are the general rules. I'll have a link here for office hours. And then here's the assignments that are listed down below. And you can actually follow this and link straight to it. And that'll be just the turn-in portion of that assignment, not the explanation of the assignment. And so anyway, just realize that, and then, use grades, don't ignore them. And the syllabus, it's up to you whether or not you want to check it out. And then you'll have some other helpful links down the side. All right. I know it's a long video, and I apologize for that, but it's got everything that you need to know to get going in the class. Just scrub to where you need to be in the video and say, what was that again? And if you still have questions, let me know, contact me, and I'll help you out. I'll help